Hi everybody and welcome to Daily Deco. It's Wednesday today, so we're very, very close to Christmas holidays. So yeah, happy holidays everybody.
This is the
first thing I have
one.
to mention.
Is that what you're about to say?
Is the final Daily Deco of the year. We're of course coming back in January, but yeah, Shaun and myself, we're both going on our Christmas holidays. Although we're not really going anywhere because we're not allowed to.
What are you on about, mate? I'm going to a rave. I've got all my family coming down from Scotland. Then we're all going to go to the circus. We're going to go to the cinema. It's going to be like old days, mate.
Apparently, yeah, clearly that's what a lot of people have been doing, and that's why we're going back into lockdown.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of people are getting frustrated because it is just taking so long. But actually, no, it's actually more important now to do it correctly, so that we don't have to do this again. Everyone's like, "Oh, we're going back into lockdown." Yeah, because people can't wash their hands properly. Yeah.
Well, I still think the lockdown was too short. We should have, when the lockdown first happened, it should have been 6 months. Then we would have been all right, I reckon.
Well, it should have been stricter as well.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I get it at first. The details were all a bit sketchy, so people didn't really know. There was a certain amount of fear, but not a great deal. Whereas, that idea of a circuit breaker, just, right, 2 weeks of just, nothing, just don't go anywhere. We'll look after you and do whatever. We'll get you your sort of, not stimulus check, but the sort of the British version. Just once we get past that, anyone who is infected won't be infectious anymore, and it won't spread. But no, apparently not. People have to see other people.
Merry Christmas!
I have zero sympathy for those people. But yeah, today's episode of Daily Deco, the last one of 2020, is sponsored by our very own Teespring store, but more about that later, because we have a surprise. So stay tuned for that.
I'm excited for this surprise.
I
wonder what it could be.
So the first news story... So the first news story comes from China, and this is basically a report has basically found out that China has reached a point where it's producing more eco-friendly plastics than it can recycle, which in kind of some, if you say it in different ways, it kind of sounds better, but actually this is a terrible thing. But what the article basically sort of breaks down is that so obviously China makes a lot of plastic, it makes lots of plastic products, and previously they've been sort of non-recyclable plastics. There's obviously been a lot of pressure on them to basically stop and make more eco-friendly. So all they've basically done is they've switched off the machines that make non-recyclable plastics, and then they've just switched on machines that make eco-friendly or friendlier plastics, but in like equal amounts. So instead of reducing the amount of plastic they produce, they're still making the same amount of plastics, and it's actually increasing. It's a different type of plastic, but they've actually reached a point where if they continue sort of at this current rate, they're making more plastic than they can get rid of. So it's just a real sort of idiotic.
That's a very weird scenario to be in.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. So they're saying that they've ramped up production of biodegradable plastic to a capacity of 4.4 million tons of it per year, of this plastic that they're just creating and sort of putting it into the market. But they can't get rid of it at the same rate, so it's going to take even longer to sort of get rid of it. And They say the capacity is expected to reach 5 million tons in the e-commerce sector alone by 2025, when a national or a nationwide ban on non-biodegradable plastics is set to come in. So there's kind of, 2025 is that kind of hurdle of just kind of like, no more non biodegradable plastics. So they're like, okay, whatever, we'll just make more of this stuff then. But they can't get rid of that, and it's the best analogy that I saw online was if you imagine a bathtub which is overflowing, the water is the plastics, the faucet that's sort of pumping the water in, that's
Tap.
the people who make the plastic.
It's called a tap.
The tap.
You're
I'm
British.
pandering to our American audience,
It's a tap.
so they know what we're
Faucet.
talking about. They don't understand taps.
Yeah, they do.
So, and the drain is basically being able to sort of get rid of the plastics and recycle it or whatever. So they're basically saying, right, well, our bath is overflowing with plastics. We can't. We're producing too much. Your first reaction shouldn't be to like sort of delve in and try to. Your first reaction is usually to switch off the faucet or tap. To stop creating these plastics. Instead of trying to focus on how to get rid of the ones that we already have, we need to stop making the ones. Basically. And it's just a sad indictment of kind of where we are at the moment. They say that non-biodegradable plastics, biodegradable plastics, they take sort of 6 months to sort of disappear anyway. So we're just inundated with all these sort of bits just sort of lying around.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks for that happy story, Mark.
Another story. This one comes from Connecticut, I believe, and not less happy, but not a happy story neither. Actually, we are quite thin on the ground when it comes to news, so we're just kind of scraping the barrel. It's all right. I'm sure a lot of interesting things will happen over the Christmas period for the January Daily Decos.
Well,
This is Seymour.
I was going to say we got like 2 weeks off, or about that. So hopefully something will happen then.
Yeah, someone needs to do something interesting over the sort of Christmas period.
No, they don't. They need to stay at home and do nothing.
Other countries have stemmed the
No, they
virus.
haven't. No one has. We're perfect.
No one has. So this is the Naugatuck River in Seymour, Connecticut, and this river, basically, a few years ago, they were planning to build a dam so that they could sort of tap it for energy, create sort of hydroelectric dam, and obviously a lot of sort of fish in the area. They use that stream or that river to sort of migrate and breed annually. So whilst they were sort of planning to put this dam in, the EPA or whoever it was were basically saying, well, actually you need to come up with some way for the fish to sort of move upstream. So they said, yep, okay, it's not going to be cheap, but we'll create a sort of a bypass so that fish can get around this dam. This bypass cost $6.3 million to get around the Tingu Dam, and they built it in 2014. And it's like a sort of one of those salmon ladder runs. So it's like an artificial kind of stream, a ladder that kind of gets up up and around the dam. And they've kind of reassessed it, and basically no fish are using it. So they've spent $6.3 million, and the fish don't even use it. But to the point where there's no alternative for them. So a lot of these sort of fish are just kind of dying. There was a predicted passage of 20,000 shad and sort of 30,000 river herring during sort of each year's sort of fish migration that were predicted to use this. But in fact, most fish just kind of ignore it and they don't even try. The main reason why is that a lot of sort of salmon ladders, the effective ones, the ones that work, are straight and pretty short, so the fish don't have to sort of. By the time they get over it, now they're in the next section, so they get some time to rest. This one apparently is very convoluted. it's not straight and it's quite long as well. So even if fish try to sort of go up this sort of route, they end up dying anyway. So that's why none of them are actually trying it. And now they're basically looking into it and just basically going, right, we need to fix this. But also the power plants have a lot to say. So apparently there are 2 power plants. One of them basically is unmanned. No one uses it because there was a fire broke out a while back, and because of fire damage they can't use it. So they're like, hang on, so we dammed this entire river and we spent $6.3 million on this sort of bypass, and yeah, it's just a cacophony of errors, and yeah, the fish, as ever, seem to be the ones that are suffering for it.
Mark, have you ever watched Ozark?
No.
Basically, this sounds very much like money laundering. A money laundering scheme. Basically making something that never works properly, so then you have to pump more money into it.
Bit like your Kickstarter, huh?
I throw the shade on you. You don't throw it back to me. That's in the contract. The contract that you signed.
I was waiting for your sort of witty quip sort of about it, but I thought I'd get in there first.
How dare you?
But anyway, talking about witty quips, today's episode of Daily Deco is sponsored by our very own Teespring store. Neither Sean nor myself are wearing any of our designs because it's actually quite cold today, so I threw my Christmas stuff around.
Yeah, we got a new brand, Coca-Cola, Christmas Coca-Cola with a big fat jolly man on.
I've never heard of that brand
before.
No, well,
it's our new one. It's our own brand gear. Available 2021 on our Teesprings. Pendant copyright infringement.
Yeah, pesky lawyer stuff. No, we have plenty of scuba diving t-shirts and hoodies and sort of cups and mugs and all sorts of bits and bobs on our Teespring store, so follow the link down below to check them out. And we're still offering 15% off if you use the promo code DailyDeco, all one word, at the checkout stage. That will get you 15% off of your offer. But that offer runs out December 31st.
Does indeed do
so
it.
get in there quick.
Do it.
The next news story is all about ghost sharks, which sounds a lot more exciting than they actually are, mainly because they're not technically sharks. I know. Sean's not booing the ghost sharks.
No, I'm booing
He's booing the fact. Yeah.
You. You've been very mean to these sharks.
They're not sharks. They're very similar to sharks. They're cartilaginous, which basically means they don't have bones. They have sort of cartilage and whatnot. And they're fish-shaped, but they're not sharks. So researchers are basically sort of, they have been kind of looking at these things, and every time they look at them, they go, "Oh yeah, I'll research him tomorrow." And they know there are a whole sort of bunch of these. I think they call them chimera or sort of ratfish.
No,
there are lots of different types of them.
That's a horrible name. Ratfish.
Yeah, well, some of them. Well, unlike shark, who just produce lots and lots of teeth, they have this like constant, almost like conveyor belt of a raspy single tooth. So they just kind of keep creating this, and as it sort of wears out at one end, just more kind of replaces it. But yeah, they're ratfish, bless them. And some of them apparently there are lots of different types, and they have lots of different shapes, sizes, and all sorts of interesting things. A lot of them have a venomous spine in front of their sort of dorsal fin, so in case they're attacked. Some of them even have a retractable sex organ coming out of their forehead that resembles a medieval mace. There was not a picture attached, unfortunately, so I have no idea. That's the only description I have to go on.
You just have to look in the mirror.
So scientists from the shark specialist group. So there's we don't really fish for them. No one really eats them. They're not outstandingly interesting in any kind of way. But they're basically, researchers are basically saying, we kind of need to look into these guys because some of them might be like threatened and like facing extinction. But at the moment, 16% of them are threatened or near threatened. And they're basically saying, well, actually, the others could be threatened as well. It's just we don't really know much about them. A lot of them live deep, deep, deep down, which is why we don't know a lot about them. But some others don't. Some others live in like sort of shoreland. And sort of coastal areas, but they are found everywhere except the poles, so the Arctic and the Antarctic. But yeah, these guys, they're everywhere. They come in lots of different shapes, sizes, and colours, and interesting sort of looks. But yeah, people don't know a great deal about them, and they're basically saying, yeah, we need to research these and to look into them a bit more.
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
give them cuddles and love.
Yeah.
Unlike you, Mark. You don't even acknowledge their existence. It's a good thing that you're not a life coach to these ghost sharks, or they'd just all be extinct. You're not even worth the water you breathe.
Just waste of space.
Yeah, mean.
No. But also they're kind of looking at, well, okay, so if they are threatened and facing extinction, what can we do about it? Because if a lot of them just live deep, deep, deep down, what can we do about it? It's just kind of, yeah, they're all the way down there. We can't exactly throw them a hand out. Yeah.
Even when you're saying about trying to save them, you're like, you just might as well just die. Just don't bother existing.
The old out of sight, out of mind.
Terrible.
Cliche. No, it is sad. It is. The thing is that the article doesn't, or I don't think I saw that it goes into any great details on why some of them are facing extinction. If it is human caused, if it is sort of microplastics that are eventually sort of making their way down to their level, then yes, we really should do something. If it is just natural selection,
they're crying themselves to death
selection,
because no one loves them.
The salinity is getting too high because of all the tears.
Exactly. because of you.
Because they're not classified as sharks.
That's all they want to be, is a shark. If I can identify it as an Apache helicopter, these dudes can identify as a shark. I'm not ghost sharkist, guys. I might be whalist, as we established in yesterday's Daily Deco. I'm potentially whalist, but I'm not ghost sharkist.
I did find out that there's a new pronoun. I say new. I was just looking through the list of sort of pronouns that you can use, and apparently "yo" is a pronoun, and they were spelling out sort of instead of I and he and she and all that, you can have "yo," and one of them is "yourself." So instead of himself or herself, it's yourself.
Okay, I can get on board with that.
Yeah. So the final news story, this one comes from the States again, and this is a treasure hunter from the 1980s. So he was basically funded by like 160 something investors. Yeah, 161 investors who paid him $12.7 million to basically find the shipwreck of the SS Central America, because it had a lot of gold in it. I think it was literally known as the Ship of Gold. So that sank in a hurricane of South Carolina in 1857. And apparently it had thousands of pounds of gold, sort of gold bars and gold coins and whatnot on board. And in the sort of late 80s, Tommy Thompson was basically all these investors said, right, if we give you $12.7 million, go find it, and then sort of whatever you find, we get a cut of it or whatever it was. And And by the sounds of it, he did. He found it. He lifted up a lot of gold, and
3 tons.
of the
Apparently,
3 tons of gold. So the gold bars, the kind of the bullion, he apparently sold to gold merchants or something for what was it, $50 million?
Something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, or a large portion, apparently, of the gold was reported to have been sold to a gold marketing group in 2000 for about $50 million. And after a while, the investors were like, well, where's our cut? Because, we paid you that $12.7 million. And Tommy basically just went on the run. So he, of course, went to Florida, and that's where he was eventually caught. And they were basically asking him, okay, so where's the rest of the money? And he was like, I don't remember. I don't remember where it was. So they threw him in jail for like 2 years in 20. Where
15.
was it? So was it 2015? Anyway, mid 2010s. He was in prison. And he served his 2-year sentence. But then after that, of course, they're still quite keen on finding this gold. So they said, right, we're going to give you another chance to tell us where the gold is. And he was basically, Judge, I think we've been down this road before. I don't know where the gold is. And the judge basically said, right, well, I'm going to hold you in contempt of court. And every day that you don't tell us where the gold is, we are going to fine you $1,000. And he's been in jail since then. It's like his 5th year in jail. So now his fine has racked up $1,000 a day. His fine is now about $1.8 million. And he's kind of at the point of, well, okay, apparently there's a thing where the maximum sentencing that you usually get for contempt of court is like 18 months. But he's like beyond that, and he's like, well, how can you still hold me? And they're like, well, until you tell us where the gold is, we're just going to keep you in jail and keep fining you until you tell us where it is. So he's in a really kind of sticky situation. Granted, if he has, $50 million, and apparently the gold coins that they're looking for, the coins alone are worth somewhere between $2 and $4 million. So a $1.8 million fine isn't the worst thing for him, because he can still perceivably get out of it. But he's in a real sticky situation. Granted, he probably should have paid his investors and done it all above board, and he'd be fine. But now he's kind of stuck in jail. He can't really do anything about it. Yeah, and
what a muppet! If you had 50 million,
it is quite.
Like, if you had that 12 million pound investment, just give him part of that. There you go. You're off my back. I don't have to worry about you anymore, and I've still got 30 odd million left.
Yeah. I mean, it's what was it? One of the judges, I think, said. So hang on. So basically, you've designed and patented a design for a submarine, but you can't remember where the gold coins are. And he's like, no. There are certain rumors that the coins were donated to a charity or something, and others that say they're somewhere else. So there's all sorts of rumors, as ever, that you do get with these kind of things. But
has anyone
he's kind of
looked under his floorboards in his bedroom? They might be there.
in the toilet cistern. That's quite handy hiding
just
place.
in a little jiffy bag.
$4 million worth of gold coins from the 1800s.
That's amazing.
No, it's apparently earlier this year, Thompson requested to be released over concerns he's at risk of contracting the coronavirus behind bars because it spreads very prevalently in jails and prisons, and apparently that was denied. apparently Thompson didn't present proper evidence for his risk level, and also noted he remains a flight risk. Yeah, I can understand the fact that he's a flight risk if he does have like apparently $50 million hidden away somewhere and potentially another $2 to $4 million, then yeah, that's a little bit of a flight risk.
Just a touch.
But yeah, but there's also the kind of you're in prison, but you're expected to be able to like produce like court tier evidence of your sort of risk of whatever it is. Yeah, it's like trying to launch your own legal defense from prison, even though you're not allowed any kind of resources.
Yeah.
Crazy, and that was another thing. I was watching John Oliver, and he was talking about the death penalty, and apparently in some US states, I don't know if this has changed, but they basically death by lethal injection, and that's kind of sketchy for all sorts of different reasons. But apparently the prisoners, they're allowed to produce their own drugs to sort of use as lethal injection drugs, and they're like, well, how are we supposed to get hold of these drugs if the prison department or whoever it is can't even get hold of these drugs? So yeah, it's all bonkers expecting prisoners to sort of produce their own evidence from prison. Anyway, that's about it for the news stories. If you are given $12.7 million to find a shipwreck and you find it, do pay your investors.
Yeah, I think that might be the best way.
It's not worth going on the run, because they'll catch up to you. Yeah. And the best case scenario is you end up in jail and getting charged $1,000 a day until you tell them where the gold is. That's probably your best case scenario, to be brutally honest.
That's like a really rubbish hotel, isn't it? You get paid the max charge every night. But
you live in constant fear of going to the shower.
Oh no! Oh, poor lad. I mean, poor lad's just it's his own fault. It's his own fault.
Yeah. Going from I'm a 50 times millionaire. I'm minted. And it's like, oh wait, no, I have to wear the same orange jumpsuit day in, day out.
Oh no! I dropped the soap. Oh.
No, it's not worth it.
No, it's not. It's not. Anyway,
and that's about it. 2020 was an interesting year, wasn't it?
Yeah. Not too shabby.
Things happened. Yeah. But we're still here, which is always important. So hopefully everyone at home is sort of staying nice and safe. Everyone's all sort of happy and healthy, looking after themselves. And we're going to have some happy holidays out there. Hopefully. If you're sort of planning any scuba diving over the sort of Christmas period, if you're doing like a Santa sort of dive or a New Year's dive, so let us know down in the comments below. Obviously, Shaun and myself won't be doing anything because we're not allowed to.
No, mate.
Yeah. My dive stuff, bless it, is far too dry, and my dive computer as well. For the surface interval, it's into like it just keeps counting the days, and it just reminds you every day you look at it how long ago your previous dive was, and it's like, oh, that's a big number now.
I've got. If you don't look at it, then you don't have to worry.
Or just switch it off and on again.
Yeah.
And resets it.
There you go. Take the battery out. It'll be all right.
You asked. But let us know if you're sort of planning anything interesting over the sort of Christmas holidays. Let us know down in the comments below. If you have any questions, comments, queries, corrections, anything, let us know down in the comments below. We are just still doing a Q&A for Friday.
Thursday.
Keep changing. It's what? Thursday. So
It'll be
tomorrow,
Thursday. Tomorrow.
We'll do a Q&A answering your questions. If you're typing them on sort of today's Daily Deco, we might not have time to be able to sort of actually add them to the show. But you never know. If you're quick enough, we might be able to sort of add them in.
I can guarantee the answer to that is we won't, because I'm doing the questions. So no.
the we.
they're pretty much already selected. So
Right.
no, basically.
But yeah, so then they'll be answered next year. If you want to see anything in particular, Sean and myself to talk about next year, then yeah, pop it down in the sort of questions below. If there's a new piece of dive equipment, then yeah, let us know. We'll do some research. We'll see if we can even get one and do a video on it. Hopefully, hopefully 2021 is going to bring some interesting stuff. We got some interesting stuff coming up over the Christmas period that we pre-filmed. So they're just a bit of fun, something to keep you sort of quiet over the sort of Christmas period. Yeah, that's about it. Do you want to say anything to our lovely, wonderful audience, Sean?
I say tomorrow.
Yeah, so...
Whatever. Yeah, no.
Anyway, yeah, that's it for today's show. Thank you for watching as ever, sort of all year. Thank you for sort of tiding us over the sort of the awkward summer period where nothing really happened, basically.
Yeah.
And for coming back when we came back.
Our prime time.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
We completely missed our prime time for the channel.
Yeah. If you don't know, we're quite seasonal with our kind of views. So the summertime we tend to get lots of kind of viewers and lots of interesting stuff. Then in the winter time, as everyone tends to sort of put their dive kit away, the views tend to kind of drop. But yeah, obviously we didn't get that kind of peak this year because yeah, we were made redundant and yeah, we weren't making any videos anymore.
No.
So
fun times.
There was a bit of a peak. There was a bit of a peak, mainly because a lot of people were like literally locked indoors with nothing to do except just browse YouTube.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of a peak, but where we weren't creating any new content, because I know Sean loves the word content. Yeah, it wasn't as high as it should have been.
No.
But we're getting back to sort of where we were, and we can only thank you, wonderful people, for that. So yeah, thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.
Stay classy, scuba divers. It wasn't you, it's because of me. That's it. I should take the credit. Bye.